This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 273 of the CineSnob Podcast. I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafania.
It's been a little while, Cody.
As Staines once said, it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, Stain, they have a lot of good ideas now that I'm really, really behind.
Yeah.
Well,
really, I mean, the band maybe doesn't have the good ideas, but the guy in front,
Aaron Lewis
does.
Aaron Lewis has a lot to say, and God, isn't that what's the performance that was on Conan that like became super viral? That's Stained, right? Is it the Sound of Silence like cover?
Oh, that's Disturbed. That was
Disturbed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm putting Aaron Lewis's bullshit onto Disturbed. I don't know the politics of Disturbed either. I'm gonna guess, just a blanket guess, that they might be not as progressive as we might think, but I don't want to cast aspersions when Aaron Lewis is a kind of a piece of shit. So
yeah, I can't speak to the Disturbed side of things, but Aaron Lewis definitely not cool.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like what's the one Pantera guy that's still left?
Oh, Phil Anselmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he just stays quiet now, since he essentially got Dimebag Darrell murdered on stage, right?
I don't know. I definitely know that he did a Nazi salute on stage that people didn't respond kindly to.
I thought that the guy that killed Dimebag Darrell was directly motivated by Phil Anselmo's commentary. Not again, separate from the terrible racial commentary.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't think I ever read into motives on that whole thing.
It was very fucked up, whatever the case may be. But
no, I remember I was in high school, and it was crazy to read about that when it was all taking place.
It's also crazy that it was videotaped in the era before this stuff was like everywhere.
Yeah, it would have been like 2006, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it was
because I wasn't a senior yet, but I was in high school for sure.
I feel like it was earlier than that.
Wow.
Yeah. 2004, so almost 20 years. Holy cow.
Wow.
Anyway, wow, what a weird tangent to start on, but it has been a while.
Yeah.
We last spoke to you talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer, and Barbie just got out of the top spot this week by a movie we're going to talk about, but a bona fide hit for Hollywood.
Well, for both of them, really. I think I saw that Oppenheimer made like $600 million globally and is like the 5th highest grossing IMAX movie of all time.
And I think we maybe talked about this before, but it's crazy how this like kind of stale, I don't want to say stale, but like this really dry biopic about this scientist became a sensation.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I feel like a lot of people got caught up in hype. They didn't quite, I don't want to put it on there that like people don't understand what they're seeing, but like they just saw this as a Christopher Nolan movie first and foremost, as opposed to a documentary about the man who followed the atomic bomb. So things are weird sometimes. Just when we think that like the director is dead because no one cared about Spielberg's stuff, here comes this movie. But in the meantime, since we've been gone, I participated and had a film in the San Antonio Film Festival, 29th annual San Antonio Film Festival.
Yeah.
Which I believe we've talked about here and there on this show. A smaller film festival, admittedly. I had a film in the festival year 4, so 25 years ago.
Yes, and I believe we went over the former name of that festival.
Yeah, it's out there for the world. This was 1998. 98, I believe. The Golden Shower Video Festival, because the idea was that it was like this punk rock underground piss on the other festivals sort of vibe.
Now, are you sure that this turned into the San Antonio Film Festival, or was this just another film festival you entered in with the same name?
No, it's not my browsing history either. I only know it's the same film festival. because the exact same person is running it who I met in college 25 years ago, and came into Adam Rocha is the director of the film festival. Known him for 25 years. I remember him coming in to like meet me you were not familiar with San Antonio College, but the radio, TV, film department used to have all of his classes in an old house that was on campus. And one of the rooms was like the dining room, I guess. It had like a fireplace and shit. Anyway, I remember meeting him there, telling me this film that I had made in high school was part of the festival. I remember my friends and I going, and we were totally like blown away because we were, again, just like a year out of high school. And we were with all these people like smoking cigarettes and watching films about lesbian horse trainers. And here comes my little dumb movie that I made. Anyway, fast forward 25 years of film I made as part of my job, a documentary about 4 women who climb mountains after being diagnosed with cancer. It's called Keep Climbing. It was an official selection, documentary short of the festival. A lot of fun going back to that festival. It was a little more muted this year because of the strikes. Typically, they have some celebrities in town. I believe Michael Cera was supposed to be there for a film that he was in. No outside participation for anybody that was, any celebrities in the film. Actors in solidarity that aren't above the line people, but anybody I don't want to say nobody you'd recognize, but people that are working actors, obviously not showing up either. But yeah, it was cool. I hadn't been part of that vibe in a long time. I judged the festival like 14 years ago, I think, at some point, which was a very, very big chore. This was when I'd be given a postal box full of DVDs. Now everything is streaming, so it's much, much easier than popping in a DVD. But yeah, it was cool to be there. And I think SAFILM and Adam and everybody else that I have met over the years and talked to there for entertaining me and having me come down there. It was weird to be a visitor in my own hometown.
Right.
I stayed at a hotel and went to the festival, but yeah. Anyway, that was my experience over the break. Anything of note happened to you, Cody?
No, not really. I was, well, actually, I spent a week with our old pal Jocelyn in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I went for a concert, which I guess is movie related. I saw the Swell season in Atlanta, which is Glenn Hansard and Marketa Irglova, who were in the movie Once, and they were celebrating the 15-year anniversary of Once, and so performing songs from that at Atlanta Symphony Hall. And then,
how
Georgia.
How easy is it for you to go to Georgia now that you know someone who lives there?
Pretty easy. I mean, it's that airport sucks, and so the travel part of it is not necessarily fun, and it's cool and just cool to kind of have a new spot to go to every so often. So. Yeah.
Well, cool. I hope Jocelyn's doing well. I joke with her on her Instagram feed. I don't know if she gets all my jokes, but
well, they're pretty highbrow. So
I didn't mean it like that. But now that you said it, that she's a woman incapable of interpreting jokes, I assume, is that what that meant?
Yeah, that's what
okay.
I mean. That's what Barbie really made me, change me.
All right. Anything else to add before we move on to talk about these movies, Cody?
No, I think we're all good. Let's get into it.
All right, let's get started on reviews.
Here are this week's reviews.
First up, we have Blue Beetle.
Okay, I want to fly. Let's do this. Yeah!
You gotta force it to come out.
What do you... You're a genius.
What? I know. Like what I say.
No!
Did you know what was going to happen to my brother when you stuck him with this world-destroying thing? It's called the Scarab. I had no idea it would activate. It has to choose you.
So how do we get it to unchoose me?
Host acquired.
Who said that?
Systems tracking 3, 2.
Okay, it's gonna be okay.
Uptown, baby. I was down, but they see I'm up down, baby.
Host overreacting.
Overreacting? You kidnapped me!
When I hit you with that, you know.
Threat approaching. Engaging host protection.
Kick it like it's judo. And when we get in mode, I'ma dog it like I'm Cujo.
Threat eliminated.
Sorry about that!
Okay, so depending on, I guess, what time of day it is, this is either one of the remaining films in the DC expanded universe, or the first film in whatever the replacement is called. DC, is it just DC Universe? I don't remember.
I think something like that.
Regardless, this is a movie that's been sitting on the not sitting on the shelf for a while, but on path to be released for a while. This is was originally supposed to be streaming on HBO Max, but was kicked to a studio release. Anyway, this is notable for being the first Latino-led superhero film, which a lot is being made of that. Cody, tell us about Blue Beetle and what you thought of it.
Sure. So it's sort of it sort of follows a blueprint of what we've seen from a lot of kind of superhero origin stories in terms of just like, you know, a younger person gets sort of unwittingly thrown into, you know, being a superhero. In this case, you have Jaime, who is a character who's like a recent college graduate who essentially gets forced to kind of working a job that's somehow beneath him, and in such sort of works for, I guess, like a boilerplate evil company. Like it's just sort of undefined, like how or why, you know, these people are evil, but it has something to do with them. Like, again, this isn't really gotten into, but like they somehow like own or manage the town. They're sort of like, because you know, when he goes to visit, it says like powered by Cord or whatever or something like that. So
it's like if Stark Industries became evil, I guess, was the kind of, if you're familiar with the weapons part of it and everything.
Yeah, because they ended up becoming like a weapons company, and they find this thing called the Scarab, which is going to be used to essentially create an army for this company, and then there's a character who is sort of like an heiress to that company, and basically she disagrees with everything that's going on, and ends up taking the Scarab and giving it to Jaime to take to like basically hold for her. He takes it to his family. You know, he's visiting his parents. He has a sister, and they have the grandmother there, as well as his uncle, and ends up essentially like awakening the Scarab, who chooses Jaime to bond to, and then thus becoming a superhero. And that's basically like the setup of the movie. So like I said, it does have that sort of like discovering your powers, what am I doing, this is crazy moment that a lot of these movies have. And I think there's kind of like two elements to discuss, I think, when talking about this movie, because a lot is being made of the representation, and that's totally fair. The representation is great. Like, if you grew up around this stuff in this culture, or are Hispanic in any way, I think there's a lot to relate to there. There's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of Spanish being spoken, both with and without subtitles throughout the movie. And its connection and roots to family, because the movie spends a lot of time developing a family bond between, you know, Jaime and his sister, Jaime and his parents, Jaime and his uncle. And there's a lot of like tight knit thing that kind of keeps it together. And I think the family stuff, for the most part, is successful, but I think the rest of the movie suffers from the same problems that like any other comic book movie that is sort of like middling suffers from. And I do think that's kind of what the movie is. I think it's, I think I said to you, it's like aggressively okay.
Yeah.
And so I think its primary problems come in the form of, I think, presenting more problems, or I should say presenting more questions than it has answers for, and not in a way where it's like setting up future things, future movies, but like plot holes for me. I think there's a few things that really stood out to me. I think number one is I feel like it suffers from that same problem of like just generic villain. Like I said, it's like boilerplate evil companies. There is a moment in the final act of the movie where they at the very end try to wedge in a little bit of backstory for one of the villains, and it's just way too late for that, and way too late in the game for that. I think that there's a lot of like character beats or character pieces that just like for whatever reason you're supposed to just kind of go with it without putting any kind of effort into like developing any kind of story behind it. There's a hinting towards the grandmother being some kind of like revolutionary that they really don't expand upon. And I think the biggest thing for me is like George Lopez's character, who like for some reason can do all of this tech stuff. He can disable security systems. He can pilot a fucking Beetle-shaped jet or whatever. But to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, but literally no explanation on how he knows how to do any of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's never. It just becomes his character.
Yeah,
like I get it. I get what you're saying. I don't think it's terrible, but there is a lot of like just sort of let's go with this development.
But I think the problem though with it is that like if you throw in a line in there, and I was talking to Ramble host Jerry, like you could throw a line in there about him like being part of like a government thing and then got spooked by something and then dropped out or something like that.
Yeah,
that would connect everything. But he's built as like a loser that sleeps on the couch, and so that's how you build up that character. But yet he's got all of this like know-how,
right? I get
that is unexplained.
I'm on the same page with that. I do agree that it just sort of introduces these character traits without setting them up.
Yeah. It's the same thing too. If we're talking on the same thing, is like there is also a hinting towards the idea that there is a previous Blue Beetle character or superhero that exists in this world. And again, that is just, we just step into that with no prior setup, with no real payoff to it. And it seems convenient more than anything else in the context of the movie.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Like that's one of the things that I think of, not to hijack your thread here, but that's one of the things that I feel like maybe is part of the edit for this new direction that they're going. Because the movie name drops Superman and Batman as though they exist, right? And if we were led to believe, like, well, not led to believe, like this is definitely part of what has come before. Like initially it was conceived as what had come before. And I think that's what we're getting is a bit of a dialing back on that with the Blue Beetle thing, but it was such an integral part of the plot that they couldn't totally get rid of that. Because right now, like, this movie is borrowing essentially from, I think I told you it was a very Shazam-like. And then with the idea that there's this Blue Beetle that you're just sort of using as technology. I mean, that's essentially Ant-Man.
Right.
So it's pulling these things from other movies. And I think the previous Blue Beetle thing muddies the waters some.
I do think, I think so too, especially because like they build in this story where like that previous Blue Beetle seems to operate completely different than this one in that like, I think it said something about like the Scarab didn't choose him, so he had to like make his own weapons and stuff like that. Like
he's essentially Batman.
Yeah.
Sorry
like
to interrupt you.
A low grade Batman. So there's that, and then I think also one thing it suffers from is tone, and I think with these DC movies in particular, it's very strange and interesting like how far they deviate from one another. In terms of like you have your Snyderverse stuff, which is like just sort of like depressingly dour through most of it. And then you have stuff like you said, Shazam, which is more like almost borderline kids movie. And I think that this movie has some very strange tonal shifts where in some parts like super serious and like and at times affecting emotional beats, but then like multiple boner jokes, like the Blue Beetle farting stuff, like just like thrown in, and I just like it just doesn't. I was like, I can't quite nail down what they're trying to accomplish here. Like, are they is this trying to be like a super like emotional family drama? Is it like a kids movie? Is it like a teen comedy thing? Like what is it, right? And I had some issues with that. I think that when you get past that stuff, I think it's where it gets a little bit more effective. I don't think that any of the superhero stuff is all that effective. I don't think that any of the story, I don't think it has anything really to say about that or a commentary on commerce. I think that like there is like a hint or wink towards like a gentrification story, but it doesn't really ever go in on it at all, I don't think. A line or two about it. Where it is successful, I think, again, is the family story to a degree. I actually think that the successful stuff is like the George Lopez stuff, which I think George Lopez is probably the best part of the movie, surprisingly.
I agree. And I'm not, I mean, I've been a fan of George Lopez for a long time. We saw him in concert or a show recently.
That's right.
Just on a side note, Robert Rodriguez's band played an hour beforehand, which was not the best, but
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I like him, and I really do like him in this role.
Yeah. And I think that he brings a lot, like he brings the comedic relief. There's a lot of like clearly ADR thrown in lines that are funny as part of it, but he also has some really good like emotional beats in moments. And I think his character, despite having a weird background in like trying to understand even what he is or does, is successful in creating that emotional bond. I think a lot is being made about the performance from Xolo Maridueña, and I did look it up. It is pronounced Xolo. I think a lot of people think it's Zolo, but I checked it.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to brag that I did the research.
You're welcome.
But I think that his performance is fine. It is one of those things where, when in these superhero movies, when they spend like half the movie in a suit and it's hard to really tell like it's all just like dialogue or voice acting really, and I think it suffers from that a little bit, but I do think that he is good. People saying like it's a superstar performance, I don't really know that I believe that. He's good, but I don't think that I didn't walk away thinking like new megastar or anything like that.
I mean, I think he's fine. I mean, you've seen Cobra Kai or not?
I've not.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's about the same level he brings to Cobra Kai. I don't think it's anything revelatory, but I don't think it's, I think he gets weirdly sidelined for a good chunk of the third act. And I think that's where the family stuff really carries through. But yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a superstar making performance. I mean, it just obviously depends on the success of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. And so again, for me, the movie is really okay, but to the point where like, we'll get to it with grades, but like, I wish that any kind of like legwork would have been done on some kind of like character design. Like even the character of Jaime doesn't really have much definition to him. He comes in as like a college grad who did pre-law or whatever. And like, that's it. That's the only thing that's the only real characteristic he has aside from like loving his family, which is fine because most of the movies surrounding that, but he's not an interesting character on paper. And it just feels like, to your point, I guess you didn't make this point on here, but yeah, I think you made it to me. it just feels like a streaming movie. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
a movie that is fine, a movie that gets the job done, a movie that has moments, but clearly like there's a lot of work that could have been done to the script to bring it to the level of something that would have been, you know, like a major player in this genre. Now, is it one of the better DC movies? Sure. I mean, I think I would take this over the Shazam movies. You know, I would take it over, you know, like the, you know, the super dark Snyder stuff that doesn't really connect, your Batman v Superman stuff or whatever. But again, that bar is low, and I just, for me, nothing really popped for me throughout. So
yeah, you know, I'm on the same page with a lot of that stuff. You know, I think the family stuff is by far the strongest, but I don't know, again, that it necessarily connects, as you mentioned, like the character of Jaime. Like, yeah, his only characteristic when he shows up is that he's, like you said, he's a college graduate coming back home. And, you know, home life has been tough for them. His father, who's somehow older than his grandmother, just actor-wise, Damien Alcazar is like 3 years older than the actress that plays his mother, ostensibly. I don't know why his father is 70 years old, but that's neither here nor there. You know, there's no like sense that he's coming back to fulfill some sort of familial duty, which I think the script wants you to like, is trying to throw in as shorthand. I don't know. I don't know what the idea of him coming back home is, other than he's done with college.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to lose the house. His father had a heart attack. You know, these are all problems that it sets up, but then it doesn't do anything to, like, it puts no weight on Jaime's shoulders for that. You know, there's plenty of parallels for that, you know, in the superhero world. You know, Spider-Man is essentially that story. Like, he's got to take care of his family because his responsibility was, he shirked his responsibility, and that's how his uncle died. This doesn't really seem to have anything other than the Scarab choosing him because he was given it. You know, it's an incredibly bland superhero story that doesn't tie into the idea. Like, look, the representation, you know, it's the first like Latino-led superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
You know, huge Latino cast, as you mentioned, Spanish spoken, often not even with subtitles. Great. That it's grafted onto this generic ass story is disappointing, because there's nothing cultural about Blue Beetle. It's not like oh shit, what is the superhero that they reference? God, I'm blanking on his name. The little bug man. He's in the movie a couple times. Is it please rescue me, because I can't remember what this is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Chesperito guy.
Okay.
You know, the little bug superhero guy with the heart, the CH. Anyway, sorry. Like, that's shown in there a couple of times. Like, the references are made. The Blue Beetle has no like cultural connection to these Mexican Americans that are in this film, and I don't quite get the point. It's like, other than like, that's how it was written in the comic books. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the connection here? Why is this important? Why does this, you know, what does this, like, the idea that there was a Blue Beetle before who was, I guess, just a white guy named Ted Cord, has
presumably a rich white guy, right?
Yeah, but his daughter is somehow Brazilian.
Right.
Maybe his wife. I don't know what the point is. It doesn't quite connect all those dots,
Right.
and it's disappointing, because it could have been like a huge moment for like the representation, which is great, and obviously, you know, obviously something that people have been yearning for, but that it's part of something that's all that at the same time is so boilerplate, is so just off the rack.
Yeah.
That's the dispiriting part, not disparaging. Dispiriting part is that it could have been so much better. It could have been like, we could have, and maybe this is because it was just a streaming movie and it was just meant to for somebody to kill some time on HBO Max a year ago, whenever it was 2 years ago, whenever it was greenlit. this could have been some like cultural defining moment. Like think of what, to less success than I think that was hoped for, but think of like what Ryan Coogler did with the Namor character in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Like you rewrite this as like this sort of Mayan influence folk hero that really brings representation there. I don't think it necessarily entirely worked, but fuck, man, who cares? Rewrite it. Like no one cares about Namor. No one really cares about Blue Beetle, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people do, but you're playing with a blank slate. No one knows who this is. Like integrate more of that culture into it. Make it something truly unique as opposed to just now here's this superhero X that could have been anybody. Now there's a Latino family behind it. Like what significance does that have? And I think that to me is the most disappointing aspect of this, is that everything else other than the family stuff is just so bland. And, you know, Susan Sarandon as a random evil person who wants to create an army of super soldiers, like whatever, I don't give a shit. It's just a means to an end.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your grade for Blue Beetle, Cody?
Yeah, and it again, it's unfortunate because like I do think that the representation piece is great. I do think that it's great to see not only a movie led by that, but you know, most of your primary cast is Latino, you know, Spanish speaking as part of it, illustrating culture, you know, showing the tight familial bonds that are parts of relationships within that culture. And that part is great. Everything surrounding it is very average. Like you said, it's off the rack superhero stuff. And I think that representation only gets you so far when it comes to presenting something that's like a watershed moment in this type of stuff. And I don't think that it gets there. So I actually am going to go on the side of C+. For me, it's a near miss. I wish that there was a little bit more in the superhero stuff to push it on that line of recommendation. But as it stands for now, I think it's very, very average.
I'm going to go with a B-. I think you said it before, it's aggressively fine. I don't think there's anything super, you know, that really is going to blow you away. I mean, obviously we've talked about it a bunch, but you know, being the representation thing, the Mexican-American family at the center of it, like that's huge. It's a big deal. Let's not mince words. It's a big deal because it's something people have been asking for and yearning for. That it is part of something that, you know, grafted onto something that's not as, you know, as finished as it should be, like as polished as it should be, is the disappointing part. Because I think, you know, you could have had something really, really special and something that would have, you know, propelled things. Right now you have something that's fine. And I think that's fine. But that there was something left on the table, and maybe it was nobody's fault. Maybe it was, this is the movie you're making. We're going to make it for HBO Max. It's going to stream. We're going to watch it over a weekend and it's going to disappear forever. That they bumped into a theatrical release. Maybe they didn't have the time or effort to change things to really drive it home. I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances are, but it is mildly disappointing that this is what we ended up with. Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, Strays.
We're lost.
Oh, great.
I knew this would happen.
Hey, calm down, Bug. We'll figure it out. This could be a lot worse.
Oh, really, Hunter? I'm starving. We're completely fucking lost, and my little puppy paw pads are really hurting right now. So how exactly could this get worse? Huh? How could it? Tell me. Huh? How could it get worse? What is this?
Why did I say it could get a lot worse?
Oh, shit. Oh, please, don't drop me. Don't need me. None of that.
That eagle has some good timing.
Hold on, buddy!
Reggie, guys, help me.
Ask him if he wouldn't mind bringing you lower.
What are you talking about? I don't speak bird.
We're in a real pickle.
Help, do something. Somebody do something. Oh, God. Yes. Oh, shit, this is fucking crazy. We're going higher.
Hold on, buddy.
Reggie, stop!
Oh, wow, your balls look huge from this angle.
Thank you, but holy fuck!
I just want to stop for a second and go back to Blue Beetle before I get called out by a lot of people. Chespirito is the actor who played the character.
Oh.
It's El Chapulín Colorado, the little red grasshopper guy.
So
anyway.
when we get the angry comments, we're going to timestamp to this moment so that
please come. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mistook the actor's name for the character's name. They are the CH threw me, but anyway, this movie is basically a vulgar talking dog movie. That's really all there is to it. This was delayed from earlier this summer, but from producers Lord and Miller. Not I don't think they had any creative hand in this, just production wise. But anyway, Cody, tell us a little bit about Strays and what you thought of it.
Yeah, well, a little bit is about all you can tell about it, I think, in that, the storyline is basically that the dog that's voiced by Will Ferrell has a neglectful owner played by Will Forte, and ends up essentially being abandoned. And once he's abandoned, he runs into some other strays. Some ones. It's essentially a pack voiced by Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, and Randall Park, and they just kind of go around and get into hijinks. I guess hijinks ensue is the best way to put it. I really don't have a whole lot to say about the movie because it is just sort of like a talking dog movie that is vulgar and raunchy. In that, like, there's no real story. It's just just sort of misadventures with like kind of like not great but not terrible looking dog talking. I think the voice performances are good. I mean, I think I enjoyed Will Ferrell. I think he does a good job in it. I enjoy Randall Park a lot as part of it. Jamie Foxx, I think, is mostly good, but like in that clip, maybe not so much.
They're really, I mean, that's a very over the top performance. From Jamie Foxx. I mean, he's. Go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, like, look, I mean, there's definitely some cheap laughs and some things that are funny. There's a lot of like dog related humor in it, and I think it hits like every like dog stereotype or something like that along the way. It's very forgettable in my opinion, but it's a quick 90 minutes, so like I said, I just don't have a lot to say about it aside from like it's just like it's the way that I've described it to people is like it's exactly what you think it would be, like no more no less. It's pretty much exactly that.
Did you grow up watching stuff like Homeward Bound?
Yeah.
So it's I remember watching the original when I was in school. The Incredible Journey was what it was called. Then Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, the remake, is when they added the voices. And I guess it's essentially that, but with a little better technology. Because that one they didn't talk; they just, when you looked at them, it was, oh, that's Michael J. Fox's voice. And this is essentially a step up from that. I'm gonna. Are you done? I don't want to.
Yeah, no, go for it. I don't have a lot to say.
But there is, like you said, it looks pretty good. There's a moment, like we got about 20 minutes into it, and I was like, fuck, how long is this thing gonna be?
Yeah,
because the acting, and this is a problem with this was a problem with The Lion King. I believe these are mostly all real dogs with CGI faces or mouths, at least. I don't think these are CGI, because one thing you can notice, like there's no real acting involved with the animals, and it's a problem that comes with the the territory of using real animals is that they're not going to express emotions like you want to. But the same thing happened with the Lion King remake, this photorealistic thing where you can't really exaggerate their features. So it ends up just being like a dog's mouth moving. And it really bugged me with Bug, the dog played by Jamie Foxx. Like you never see, like, his eyes didn't change at all. So he's like ranting and raving and his eyes are just wide open. That threw me. Here and there, it dips into some really weird, absurd shit, which I really liked. There's not near enough of it, and I think it's a little too straightforward, vulgar. Not that I have a problem with vulgar stuff. I just think for a good chunk of the movie, that's the only joke.
Mm-hmm.
These dogs are saying fuck and they're pissing on stuff and talking shit. There's some like cameos. I guess Will Forte is I guess like probably the biggest part, but like some pretty like degrading shit happens to him, and then Brett Gelman also has a very like,
it's the Brett Gelman special, really.
Yeah. I really love Brett Gelman, but I this is one of those things where it's just like, yeah, he came in to do something really undignified and I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's okay. It's exactly you're right. It's exactly what you expect. It wasn't I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's very like this is another one of those movies that in concept it's probably about 45 minutes of good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's twice as long as that. And I think it really wears out its welcome early and then kind of gets going in a different direction that I enjoyed for a little while, and then at the end it kind of peters out.
Now let me ask you this, because I could be wrong here and be misremembering it, but
okay,
the whole movie is sort of leading to a comeuppance for Will Forte's character.
Yeah,
didn't they kind of like pull punches with the execution of that?
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like you don't see.
If you stay, did you stay through the mid credits?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, so that puts a button on it.
Okay.
But yes, there's this comeuppance that is supposed to happen. If you watch the mid-credit sequence, it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not shown in a way that you would have expected watching the rest of the movie.
Right.
Like maybe that was a bridge too far for them. I don't know.
Which is like if you're making this movie, I don't know why you don't just.
I don't know either.
It.
I don't know either. That was one of those things that like.
I mean, you can get one big final like gross out laugh from that. Like, why not? Right. I don't know why it didn't. That is puzzling to me also, because I thought it pulled the punch as well. Yeah.
But I sat around and waited for there was a little mid-credit stinger that illustrated that it did indeed happen.
Mm-hmm.
But why it wasn't explicitly shown, I don't know. I don't know why I'm kind of upset that it wasn't shown.
Well, because I think there's a like we've seen something like that, not that way happen, but like in a Lord and Miller thing. Do you remember the with Rob Riggle at the end of 21 Jump Street?
Oh yes, vaguely.
Yeah,
it wasn't shown, but I think they addressed it in the sequel, right?
Well, no, but he picks it up with his teeth.
Oh, yes.
Like I was waiting for something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's one of the things that like maybe it's like a Chekhov's gun situation.
Yeah.
Like you talked about it so much and you didn't.
Yeah.
Like it didn't go off. Like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know why we're talking around it. No one's going to see this movie.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't they viscerally show the dog biting his dick off,
or a dog holding the dick in its mouth, or something like that?
Like that would have been what I would have thought.
Right. I was waiting for that. In fact, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this movie's going to end with something like an over the top penis biting scene, and it just really wasn't.
I mean, The Righteous Gemstones had more dicks in it than this movie, and like that's like that was not explicitly about biting a penis off, but
yeah.
Anyway,
and that was, and again, in 21 Jump Street, they shoot Rob Riggle's dick, and then he picks it up with his teeth.
I'd forgotten about. I need to watch that movie again. Those two movies.
They're both
again.
great.
I love those movies so much. Anyway, I think again, this is another one it's all right. It's not blowing you away. It's not near as bad as I was fearing it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's too long. Even at 90 minutes, I think it's too long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it wears out its welcome a little too early. But anyway, what's your grade for Strays, Cody?
So I'm going back to the well with another C+ for this. Like I said, I don't think it's all that bad. I mean, I can't say that I didn't laugh throughout it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like it's a very one and done. I don't know why anyone would watch this thing more than once. Yeah. So C+.
Yeah, C+ for me. I think you get the joke. There's nothing really surprising coming out of it except a handful of maybe not even a handful, maybe like one or two little things. Like the Dennis Quaid thing is funny.
Yeah.
I think it goes on like one joke too long. Like there's one too many punchlines in it. But I think there's a real weirdness to that little scene that's really funny.
Yeah.
That had it been left alone, it would have been okay. But yeah, C+. It's all right. It's not the worst thing I've seen. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this week. I have no idea what even is coming out next week or what we'll be doing. So
yeah, so next week is Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah, I forgot that got delayed by a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I saw it like 2 weeks ago. I saw it at a Regal mystery movie.
Yeah, they pushed our screening back here because it was being delayed opening. But then I saw like reviews came out and everything, so I don't know what even happened.
There's some weird release thing going on with it, where like a bunch of people had seen it and like they're showing it this weekend, and as I think the last 2 weekends as previews, but it's not officially opening wide. I don't know if it's just to like get away from the Barbenheimer stuff, so they're creating some distance before they fully unleash it. But that is out next week, and then I will have I have an event on Wednesday where I will be sampling some new Alamo Drafthouse food items, and I'll get to report back on the new menu. So it's yeah.
Yeah, speaking of, we saw Blue Beetle at Alamo Drafthouse Lamar.
Yeah.
Which is in the middle of remodeling. But we were in one of the theaters with the new seats and the new tables.
Yeah.
Primo. Very nice. Every chair is a recliner, but it's not the like full foot out one. It's like just kind of kicks you back a little bit.
That's how the ones are here, yeah.
The table swings into you.
Well, I mean, for anyone who's been there, and this is fresh on my mind because I just got my approval for Fantastic Fest, which is in about a month. And you know, previously for both that and South by Southwest, where Lamar is a location, if you wanted, like, it's just one long row of tables.
Yeah.
There's no exit points or anything like that. So if you're trying to find a seat and getting between people, you can either like start at the very end and walk your way through, or you can climb under the seat, under the table, and like jump up, which is like how you also had to go to the bathroom unless you wanted to, again, disturb your entire row. And the whole fact that is now gone is just like amazing.
It is funny how like the evolution of that stuff started, because I guess that was just the easiest thing to do. And then like the draft house that's nearest our house here, Lakeline, they're the first ones I went to that has like the two share, like a table that's shared between the two seats.
I don't love that, but
I don't love it either, because if you go by yourself, like they assume you're with the other guy.
You have to share with a stranger.
Yeah. This one they fully swing in. I don't know if that's that way there too, but they fully swing in.
Yeah, the one in Stone Oak has like the basically the recliners go so your feet just kind of go up a little bit and lean back a little bit, and then it has, each seat has an individual table. Do they rotate?
Yes. Okay, yeah. So that's what this was, and like the lights under there too, and it was great. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll be finished in time for Fantastic Fest. I don't know if they've said they will be.
It is supposed to be. That is the goal, is that it will be finished by Fantastic Fest.
Because right now you just go in through the highball and like take a big circle and like go through like the back like service areas. It's very strange. But,
yeah. Weird.
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to reach us, you can email us. Yeah. Want to reach us? You could, God damn it! You want to reach us? You can email us at podcast@cinesnob.net. Find us on Twitter at CineSnob, Facebook CineSnobNet, YouTube.com/CineSnob. Cody, is the ramble happening still?
There was a week off this week. I think they might be returning this week, and as always, I'll join if I'm around. It's if
you're not gallivanting in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, or where else have I been?
Wherever,
Dallas, Denver,
on the Durand plantation, wherever you go out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know where they live. Is it like the racist part, or is it the non-racist part?
It didn't seem that racist. I don't.
Because I've been to the racist part.
No,
I've been to like Sugar Hill.
Oh wow. No, I don't think that it was. I don't think that their part is racist. And then we went to a Mexican side of that area too. So that was
interesting.
Yeah.
Did you go to Waffle House while you were there?
No, didn't go to Waffle House, unfortunately. I saw a couple of them driving around, but did not get to.
I mean, it's been like
partake.
25 years since I went to Atlanta, but like I remember being at a Waffle House you could see another Waffle House from. It was weird.
I didn't see that kind of situation. I've only been to Waffle House like once, and I think it was in Houston.
It was also weird when we were in Canada. There was an awful lot of IHOPs like within like very short distances of one another.
Well, it is international.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why. I figure like once you get out of the U.S., there's just a bunch
probably
of
everywhere.
IHOPs. Yeah, I guess we found that out.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we go, Cody?
No, I think that's it.
All right. On that note, I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Vifania.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit cinesnob.net. See you next week.